Hi guys, it's been a crazy Thursday morning getting used to this new software, and we've got a special guest coming in from Adelaide. That's Olivia Jenkins going to be joining us very shortly. This 14 award-winning mumpreneur who has expertise in e-commerce is going to have some great value to help you out in your e-commerce plans for the future. 2023 just around the corner. Maybe you just need to carve out a little bit of time to plan how you're going to conquer the world next year. But one of the things we want to remind you of course, is that the show has been brought to you by your friends at XI Media. And we want to make sure that you know that you can come to us for all your digital marketing, whether it's that website that really needs an overhaul. It looked good in 1974, but maybe we could do something to just lift it a little bit. Or maybe you're not getting the right fit traffic coming to that website, and we'd love to talk to you about those opportunities as well. But today, we're going to be talking about all things e-commerce. And I know a lot about e-commerce. I have a lot of dreams about what I would do if I had an e-commerce website. But really, more importantly, there's probably a few tricks that only experts can talk about. And so what we thought we'd do is get somebody in who is able to answer those questions. And Olivia, want to welcome you to the show. Let's bring Olivia on screen now and get that button there. Olivia, thank you for joining us on The Kick this morning.
Me.
Now, tell us a little bit of your background. We're going to show people your website in a moment, but you've done sales and marketing. You obviously have experience across fashion, health, beauty, lifestyle. But where did it all begin? What was the journey like at the start?
And from a very young age, really, about 18 months old, my mum started a business, a skincare brand, and she started from grassroots, just tucking product in a presentation folder under her arm, and she went about building that business. So from the age of 2, 3 years old, I would help mum in the business with the computer work and the printing. I was always very tech savvy. And then naturally, as I left school, I went into her business and I started in the family business originally. Back then, we didn't have the e-commerce landscape that we do today. So it was very much still a bricks and mortar sales strategy. So the business was in a lot of pharmacies, and we also had quite a big export arm as well. And essentially, me coming into the business was about helping to attract a younger demographic for the brand, but also to get the brand on the map for e-commerce, which was just starting its very early stages at that time. So you could say with my career that from dot one, e-commerce was a part of my world. And then obviously as the years have gone on, e-commerce has just continued to blow up to be what it is today. So that journey started a long time ago.
It's really interesting. You'd agree with me that the last 2 years have kind of given e-commerce another booster shot in the arm in terms of what we're experiencing. Why go out when Amazon or my local pharmacy or my favorite beauty website can actually get stuff to me via parcel delivery? It's changed the way in which we shop, hasn't it?
I think anyone would have even thought that it could get bigger than what it was just before COVID. But I know at that time, I was about 6 months into my consulting journey at that time, or about 8 months at that time. And I was really quite fearful. I was thinking, I've started this business in consulting and COVID has hit. What's going to happen to the industry? What's going to happen? Are people actually going to want to be shopping when we're in the middle of a global pandemic? And I don't think anybody could have predicted where things ended up. And, Australia Post putting on 2,000 more posties and all of these amazing things that happened for e-commerce businesses. So yes, it's just continued to blow up. And I think we've still got a lot of journey to go. I think it's still going to progress from here, which is really exciting.
Just as you see on your screen, oliviajenkins.co will take you to Olivia's consulting website, but it's also your Instagram handle as well. So if people want to follow you on Insta, you can follow her there. Olivia, one of the things I like is part of your story being talking about working with mum and getting into that early stage. They say that we should be teaching kids in school about entrepreneurship, about running businesses, not just about how to read and write. What's your thoughts on that? Because you kind of got a head start on a few people.
Love that idea. For me, being at school, even in my day, I'm not particularly old. I'm 30 now, but I remember we had the option to choose different, types of maths, for example, and I always wanted to opt towards more of the business mathematics. So I think it's really important to be teaching students in school about these things so that they can have real life practical skills that they're able to apply when they get out into the workforce. I think there's something I could talk about all day in terms of the Australian curriculum, but I do think there are other things that are missing as well in terms of mindset and what we're teaching our kids about how they think and how to handle different situations as well, which is not only going to help them in a professional capacity, but help them in personal situations as well. So I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship and everything that comes with it, because it's not just about the skills and the tactics and the strategies, it's also about your mindset and whether you have the right mindset to be able to run a business successfully.
I would say perseverance has to be in that mindset somewhere, but if you could kind of highlight a few things, what makes a great entrepreneur or what would make a great e-commerce business person, what kind of characteristics do you think we have to have?
Definitely is a big one. I know that we spoke about this a little bit when we were chatting initially, that a lot of people think that starting a business, whether it's e-commerce or something else, is as simple as, whacking a logo together and popping it up on a website and away we go. I wish it was that simple. Unfortunately, it's not. So I think tenacity, definitely, you have to be the type of person that can be knocked down and get back up again, because that first stage of the journey is really hard. And it can be quite a disheartening process, I guess, if you have a few knocks and you feel like you are continually getting back up and you just don't have it in you. You need that tenacity to keep going. And I think that also comes back to having a strong vision and a strong why as to why are you actually starting this business? Is it just about the money, or do you have a different vision? Do you have a different purpose of what you're setting out to achieve? So I think that's a big part of it. Another big part of it as well, I think, is having the confidence to back yourself, because as an individual in a business, it can be a lonely place if it's just you. So you need to have that confidence and strength within yourself to also back your decisions. And I think you need an element of X factor, a spice for life, some energy about you to make sure that you're continuing to stay on top of all the trends that are happening, be on the ball, and have that energy to persevere.
Some really good advice there. I like the fact that you talked about the X factor, because sometimes we've got it, sometimes it drains out of us, and we've got to get it back. In your role in consulting with businesses, do you feel like you're kind of bringing that X factor sometimes?
I think, it's a little bit like having 20 wives or husbands at the same time. When you have a client group that you're serving, I think it's really hard to keep everybody happy and to build those relationships. So you do need that X factor. But at the end of the day, when I think about myself and what I do this because I genuinely love playing this role for my clients. And that was also quite obvious to me in my corporate career as well. Coming from general management, my role essentially was to support the CEO and be that right hand person that helps to pull together all of the operational, all of the financial, all of the sales and marketing things, and be really focused on people, product, and processes. And I wanted to go out and be able to offer those things to more clients, which is what led me into consulting. And yes, having that X factor, that energy, that spice for life, but the passion for what you do, I think, is what helps you to be consistent. And then that is ultimately what gives you the results, is the consistency.
Let's just grab hold of that moment where you were just explaining that working with the CEO, adding something to it, and you've come up with this great phrase which is on your website. So let's very quickly bring that into the picture here. There we go. So this is the website that you can go to at oliviajenkins.co. The CEO's wingwoman. Now, after we've just seen the Top Gun movie come out, it's very apt to have this kind of thing out there. But is that what people are connecting with? It's kind of like you're adding something to, they're dealing with the day to day. You're basically taking a load off their shoulders, but also injecting ideas into their business.
Phrase, which is now a registered trademark because I loved it so much, was actually coined by my clients. So these are their words, not mine. And I love them so much that I wanted to bring it through the marketing for the brand and for the business. So for me, when I speak to clients, they are so incredible on their own. They've built their brands to a certain stage before they've been able to take that step into having a consultant come on board. It's a luxury that not all businesses can afford to do. And not all businesses, for example, can afford to do it at startup stage. They need to be a little bit more established. But for me, it's about providing them with the strategy, the advisory. Yes, that's really important to say, okay, let's put together a plan for your business. Where do you want to go? What's important to you? And for me to be able to help them put that plan together and hold their hand and keep them accountable. But it's also about having that person that you can bounce ideas off of. Again, like I was saying earlier, sometimes it can be a little bit lonely when you're just on your own. So to have that person that has the expertise and the experience that can help to be a sounding board for different situations, whether they're ideas which are positive, or whether it's a situation in the business that's happened that, you know, a client might not know how to handle. It might be beyond where they're at that particular moment in time in terms of their leadership ability, or they haven't ever encountered that situation in business before and they're looking to me for that support. And ultimately, working with a consultant, I believe that consulting is a very powerful and valuable thing. It can help you, you know, achieve your goals faster, but it also can help you save a lot of money in the long run as well, because you're not making decisions ultimately that end up costing you a lot more than you ever anticipated.
Totally agree with you. It's interesting. I sometimes use an analogy that when we're doing things like Google Ads, it's like we're going to Disneyland or Movie World, one of the theme parks. You can choose to wait in the queue for 2 hours to get on the 2 minute ride, or you can pay one of those tickets that fast tracks you to the front every time. And I think probably working with an expert consultant, it gives you the ability to fast track to the front of the queue instead of waiting 2 to 3 years to learn everything that the consultant already knows. So you're leveraging off your experience. Now, I want to tap into that. Olivia, there's people that are watching and listening, whether it's to the recording, thanks for being with us on the kick, who are probably thinking to themselves, what are the things I need to watch for? What are the things I need to be careful of if I'm not going to be one of those small businesses that fails very quickly? Can you give us 2 or 3 things that you think you've identified that really are helpful in getting started and not failing fast?
Startup and you're starting a business for the first time, there's so many different things I could share with you. I guess one of the ones that comes to mind is legals. So making sure that if you are starting a new business, you're not infringing on somebody's trademark. I have had a lot of conversations. You would not believe the amount of conversations I've had with startup clients before, where potentially that they've done all their branding, they've done their website, and they've potentially even bought product which they've applied that logo to or that brand name to, and they haven't actually registered their trademark. And so that's meant they'd have to spend a whole heap of money to then, you know, redo all their branding, redo their website, and essentially relaunch their business. So the legalities around starting, do it right and do it right the first time so that you're not having to chase your tail and spend more money down the road. That's number one, very important. Number two, when you're starting a business for the first time as well, make sure you're putting in the effort to put together a business plan. Again, I see so many brands that have not got a formal business plan and they don't have all of this information documented. So when, you know, things may go wrong or when certain situations arise, they're not prepared because they haven't done that work ahead of time. So that's really important as well. And I think number three, in that startup phase, that first beginning of the journey, you need to be focused on lead generation. You can't just whack up a website and hope that people are going to magically find you. It's really important to have a lead generation strategy to make sure that you have a consistent flow of leads or of potential customers that you can speak to and you can present your products or services to. That unfortunately doesn't happen magically. And so we need to put together the right strategy to attract those leads.
Some good advice there, and something that you have on your website, which I was really intrigued by. Sometimes we look for that first sale. If I sell that $100 item, I've succeeded. But it's actually the lifetime value that we're wanting. How many repeat sales, whether they upgrade over the life of the client, are they going to be worth $1,000 or $10,000? And you talk about customer value optimization. Is that a service that you bring, and can you tell me how you go about it?
The things that we're looking to optimize all the time, and I'm a big believer in continual improvement. In this space, if you stay stagnant, it doesn't take very long for one of your competitors to surpass you and do something a bit better. So we're always focused on taking good to great with clients. And one of the ways that we do that is look to optimize websites. That is the storefront. That is where our customers are coming to make their purchase and to shop. So it's really important that we're taking action all the time to optimize the website, whether that's for speed, whether that's store architecture and where things are laid out on the site. We're looking at heat mapping, where are customers clicking, where are they spending time, where are they gravitating to, so we can make those changes. And we're forever building upon that as well. So there's lots of things that can help you to optimize your conversion rate, things like social proof. So having your reviews, if you've got a product-based business, definitely having some type of app or plugin that can help you to capture and present customer feedback and customer reviews, because a lot of the time, particularly in Australia, we're quite a savvy shopper. So we do tend to do a lot of research before we make a commitment to buy something, and those reviews certainly help. Also making sure that you've got good imagery, and you're not doing your own imagery if that's not your skill set. Pay a professional, get the correct imagery up so that you can present your product in the best possible way. And same thing for copy as well. I see a lot of the time with clients and potential clients that they might be focusing on what the product is about, the specifications and all of the stuff that's a little bit boring. But what are we doing to actually speak to the emotions of the customer or the client as well? And what are they hoping to change in their life through buying that product or buying their service? So I believe with everything, we know that with marketing, it's problem and solution, or before state, after state. So are we actually tapping into some of those emotions with the customer as well, as to what they're ultimately wanting to solve or achieve through using your products or using your service? So yeah, that would be some of my tips.
It's interesting on a lot of websites that many businesses might provide a return policy or they may have free shipping, but they don't tell their good story. It's hidden away somewhere in a paragraph or a bottom of the page. And so we actually buy from the website that makes it clear about those offers or that warranty, etc. Do you work with clients in terms of the language? Do you work with them in terms of the visual display of the website as well?
So anything to do with the website design or development is something that would fall in my area, and working with clients all the time to improve the way that we do things. I think with what you're saying as well around offers and presenting information, we've started to use video a lot more when telling a story as well, because we've found that to be a really effective way to speak, and get our message across. A picture says 1,000 words, and I think a video says 1,000,000. So it just takes it up to that next level, and you're really able to communicate a lot more through video, which is obviously gaining popularity all the time. And we've seen that with social platforms lately as well, and how everybody is really gravitating to video.
One of the things in e-commerce is that there's many options for software. What platform should I use? Do you think that we can get too hung up on that, or is it actually good to measure twice, cut once, and get the right software for your business?
Important. I am a passionate Shopify girl. So obviously with a lot of the work that I do being for e-commerce brands, Shopify is the platform that naturally clients gravitate towards. And I think it's a fantastic solution for an e-commerce business. I do think there's a time and a place for other platforms, depending on the business and what it is that they're selling, whether it's a product or a service, or if they have a budget or they don't. So I think that's all definitely a consideration. 9 times out of 10, I would say Shopify is the e-commerce solution, unless there's something that's stopping that client back. For example, if they're omni-channel and they have, a significant bricks and mortar, footprint already, they might have 10, 20 or 30 stores that they have a particular point of sale software in their stores that they're actually using for their cash registers and their tills, etc., that might not integrate perfectly with Shopify. Well, that might be a time where you'd look at WordPress and WooCommerce as an alternative, because it is an open source platform and more things are possible. But no, I think generally Shopify would be my pick out of the two for e-commerce brands.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Listen, we're nearly time up, so I just wanted to find out if there's any real keys for success that you'd encourage people in. I know that you've covered tenacity. Sometimes you just got to push through. But are there any other secrets that you've kind of used as encouragement markers with your clients to help them get to the other side of success?
That startup phase where you're still building your revenue and you're really trying to get to that stage where you've got an established revenue that you can rely on and then continue to build upon. For me, it's just being really consistent with what you do. It's not about the, once a week I'm going to jump in and do some work. It's the daily efforts. You have to show up day in, day out. And it can be grueling, and that's why not everybody is cut out for it. But make sure you're showing up every day. There are non-negotiables that you're doing every single day, whether that's showing up on social media, thinking about some growth tactics, whether that's outreaching to other brands to collaborate to see if you could tap into some of their audience, whether it's jumping into your Instagram DMs and building relationships with your clients, whether it's putting together an email so you can make sure that you get at least 2 campaigns out every month, whether it's focusing on your automations in your emails as well. Do you have an abandoned cart strategy in place? Do you have any emails that are going out based on behavior so that you're not just relying on campaign emails every month? And also, do you have a lead gen strategy? Do you genuinely have a strategy in place that's helping you to attract customers? Or is that an area of focus for you? Is that something that you need to put more attention and more effort into? And last but not least, I think generally, if you're in that startup phase, 80 to 90% of your time has to be focused on growth. So sales and marketing tasks only, not a time to be spending in the back end of your business worrying about, operational improvements and all the rest of it. You need to be out there hunting the business at that point, and wait until you're a little bit further down the road to be worrying about optimizing the back end. It's all about growth.
Some great advice there, and you're absolutely right. If you don't have customers, you don't have a back end that needs to be supported. So you've got to generate, as Olivia was saying, take care of the new business coming in through leads. Make sure you're optimizing through great email programs to actually get all of your current customers or first-time buyers becoming second-time buyers and third-time buyers. So there's a lot of great advice there. We're going to finish by just pointing out that you can go and visit Olivia online at oliviajenkins.co, Instagram, oliviajenkins.co, or join the nearly 9,000 followers on Facebook. And you'll also see that there's some stunning photos when Olivia just recently was picking up some awards at the Mumpreneurs. It's been absolutely fantastic to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us, Olivia. Hopefully we'll get you back in the new year and discover what other advice you have for the e-commerce teams.
So much for having me.
Well, isn't it great to be able to tap into the expertise of somebody like Olivia? And there's so much value for you there. Hope that you are going to watch this time and time again and start making a checklist of the things that you want to work on to grow your business. We'll be back next week with more of The Kick. I'll see you then.